Well, good morning, Miss Laura. We're
Good
looking through
morning.
Finn's whiskers there.
Yeah.
Good morning, Finn.
Good morning.
How you coming here? Who's your buddy there?
Mason.
Mason, big dummy, huh? Well, we're glad you're here, and we're so glad that Miss Laura invited you. Miss Laura, what you gonna say to them?
Well, I'm so glad that Finn and Mason is here to help us with story hour today, because we're gonna have a fun story hour. We got several songs we're gonna sing, and I'm gonna tell you the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. But you gotta watch out because it's a little bit different than what you're used to. But what happened, Finn? What happened to your whiskers?
Oh, it was terrible. The dog got a hold of me, and there was stuffing everywhere.
Oh,
And I went, oh.
oh. Well, did you get a hold of that dog?
Yeah, it's clean.
Well, I wonder what the dog looks like. Well, Miss Mattie, don't you have some songs that we can sing?
Well, we have to learn old Finn some songs this morning. Okay, Finn, you pretty good. Let's go. I tell you what, let's let Finn. We're gonna show you how to warm up now. Okay, here we go. Can you say la la
La la
la la la la la la?
All right.
Good.
La 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 la.
Pretty good. Y'all give Finn a good hand. Let's see. Reckon he can say Lily? I think he got pretty good.
I do too.
Now we're gonna show you the song we have to always sing at the here when you come to our story hour. It's called If You're Happy and You Know It. You ready? If you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you are happy and you know it, shake your ears. If you're happy and you know it, shake your ears. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shake your ears. If you're happy and you know it, show your teeth.
If you're happy and you know it, show your teeth.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, show your teeth. We always sing about the kids sitting on the floor singing at home. See, they're watching at home then. So we're going to sing about there's a bunch of kids clapping. Okay, ready? Here we go. Now there's a bunch of kids clapping while they're sitting on the floor. I like the way you're clapping while you're sitting on the floor. Keep your hands clapping while you're sitting on the floor. Now stop clapping because we're going to sing just once more. Now, Ben, when you came into our studio here, was it raining or was the sun shining?
The sunshine.
The sun was shining. All right, let's think about the sunshine.
Okay.
Miss Laura, you made the sunshine.
I'll
Here
do
we
the
go.
sunshine.
Now, outside the sun is shining in the sky. Outside the sun is shining way up high. Outside the sun is shining in the sky. Now, do this way so it won't shine in your eye. Now, everybody's clapping while they're sitting on the floor. Everybody's clapping while they're sitting on the floor. I like the way you're clapping, sitting on the floor. But when I count three, we're not gonna clap the floor. Well, here we go. 1, 2, and what comes after 2, Finn?
3.
Hey, Finn.
All right.
Listen, you're pretty smart. Do you know your ABCs?
Yes, I do.
Listen, you know a lot of kids out there learning the ABCs. Let's see if Finn can do the ABCs. But now, what's the first letter?
A.
All right, let's go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Now he knows his ABCs. I think he's smart as he can be.
Yeah. That was awesome. Good job.
Finn, can you spell your name?
S, I, N, N.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
Well, look, now, can you spell your friend's name? What's your friend's name there?
Mason.
Mason. Can you spell it?
N, A, S, O, N.
Yay! Me and Miss Laura knows a funny song about little Peter Rabbit. It had a fly on his nose. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, my cousin was the Peter Rabbit.
Say that again.
That was my cousin.
Peter Rabbit's his cousin. Well,
Peter
my
Rabbit.
goodness.
Isn't it really true that he had a fly on his nose?
Yes.
And he flipped it till it flew away?
Yeah, he went.
Well, what is this one? Well, look, let me tell you what. Me and Miss Laura are going to say little Peter Rabbit, and then you do the part, Ben, about he flipped it till it flew away, okay, because it's on his nose, okay? Just take it, your hand, there you go. All right, you ready? Now, here we go. Oh, now we're going to sing it all the way through. This gets real hard now, okay?
It does.
I have to put John on now here. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. A little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and he flipped it till it flew away. Yay! Now look, I'm gonna show you a couple of funny ways that you can do that, okay? Now, you sing it again, little, but you don't sing Peter Rabbit, you just make your ears good.
I just thought my ears were
Okay,
bad.
listen. And well, you know, we could sing it over first and sing Little Finn Rabbit. Let's change it to Finn. Can
Let's
we
change it to-
Finn?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Little Finn Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little Finn Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little Finn Rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and he flipped it till it flew away. Okay, we'll change that to your song now. Is that okay, Finn? Okay. Now look, we're gonna say Little Finn Rabbit hat, but we're not gonna say rabbit. We're just gonna say like this, little, and make your ears. Is that okay? Okay. 1, 2, 3, let's go. Now you can just watch us if you want to, so you can learn this, or you can do it if you want to, whichever you want to.
I'm gonna do
If you like doing, well, he's a doer.
He is.
He's not a sitter, he's a doer.
That's
Woo!
right.
Woo!
I'm sitting
Okay.
right now, though.
Well, that's all right. Okay, we go. Little rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and he flipped it till it flew away. Now, Ben, we won't say fly. We'll maybe. Can you do a fly in this one? Okay. There you go. Good. Okay, good. All right, Sheree, can you go? I don't know where the rabbits can go because they have those big teeth.
That's right. They might not
Oh,
do
you
that.
do it.
Okay.
You do it.
Can't do, he said you can't do that, okay?
Oh,
Here we
okay.
go. Little had a upon his nose. Little had a upon his nose. Little had a upon his nose, and he flipped it till it flew away. Now don't get, hey, your part's coming on flip, okay? See how your ears go, flip it, okay? All right, here we go now. Let's see. Little Finn, we're gonna say Finn.
Don't say
Had a-
fly.
But we're gonna say, not gonna say nothing, but I'll punch your nose like that and go. You got tickle? Miss Laura, do that, see if it tickles it. Okay, you gonna punch your nose? Okay. And I'm
Well, I
gonna do
can-
his ear.
okay, okay.
Ben. You're a good sport, Ben. We may send you some carrots after, so, would you rather have carrots or carrot cake?
Carrot cake.
I figured that.
Oh.
Rabbits like carrots, but they really like carrot cake, is that right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
My
right.
lot
mom
of ice.
fixes it every time.
Oh, very good.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go now. Little had a upon his little had a upon his little had a upon his and he flipped it till it flew away. Now look, here comes your part now.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Here we go. This is Ben's song from now. Ben, by the way, where'd you get your bow tie?
At the store. It was like an old-fashioned store.
Oh, they look like it's
Strutting
fancy. You wear it to
his
church
bow
on
tie.
Sunday sometime?
Ma'am?
You wear it to church sometime?
Yes, I
Yeah.
all the time.
All the time. You dress up big going to church, right? I think that's good going to the Lord's house, do you dress up?
That's right.
Okay, we ready? Here we go now. Little had a foot on his whoop. Little had a foot on his whoop. Little had a foot on his whoop. And then your turn till it flew away. Now the last thing, we don't have to say flew, we just go like that, like he's gonna fly away, okay?
Woo-hoo.
There you got it. Good.
All
Okay,
right.
you ready? Here we go. Little had upon his whoop. Little had upon his whoop. Little had upon his whoop. And he pushed it. Yay! Take it out.
Woo! Good job.
Give a hand. Give a round of
applause.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
Gracie, you learning that from show business. That's show business. You like show business?
Yes, I
Do
do.
you think you might go into that for a permanent thing? Yeah, I like that. Pays pretty good, I think.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, very good. Well, you're a very nice fellow. We're so glad you came today.
I know, I'm so glad. Now, I've got such a good story today. Now, y'all listen carefully.
That means we don't have to do anything. She's gonna do all the work. It's gonna be fun.
I get to do all
Don't
the
go to sleep,
work.
okay? Don't go to sleep.
I'll try.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a story today about a little boy named Jack and his mother. They were very poor. They had a few little chickens that would lay some eggs. And one day, his mother said, Jack, I need you to go to the store for me because I want a milk cow. I'm giving you all the rest of the money I have, but I need a cow so that we can have us some milk. Now go straight there, buy that cow, and come straight back home. Don't you dare do anything else with that money. Don't lose it. You be careful.
She's shaking her finger at me.
So, off Jack went, headed to town to buy that milk cow. Well, on the way to town, he met an old man, and that old man said, Hello, little boy, what are you going to do? And the little boy said, I'm going to town so that I can buy Mama a milk cow. Oh, what do you need a milk cow for? I have some magic beans. I will sell you these 5 magic beans if you will just give me the money. Then you can have all the food you ever want and need. Well, Jack stood there and he thought, we could plant a garden and we can have all kinds of tomatoes and squash and cucumbers and beans and peas, and we can have all this food. We don't need a milk cow. Mama would be so proud. Do you think Mama's gonna be proud? Well, he bought those beans from that old man. And he came home and he showed Mama, Mama, look, a man showed me these 5 magic beans, look. And his mama said, Jack. Now, when Mama puts her hands on her hips, you know she's upset. And a good mama has her hands on her hips to tell you what you're supposed to do. Why did you buy those beans? Those are not magic beans. What are we going to do with beans? I needed a milk cow and you just used all of our money. And she threw them out the window. She was so angry. Well, that night, Jack and his mama went to bed and went to sleep. And during the night, something magical did happen. Up grew a tall beanstalk, all the way up and up and up and up and up in the air. And when Jack got up the next morning, he went outside, and lo and behold, there's a big, huge beanstalk, but it didn't have beans on it. So he thought, I'm gonna climb up there and see what's on top. So up Jack went, climbed up and up and up and up and up. And he came to this big castle. And he sneaked inside to see what was in there. And all of a sudden the ground started shaking, and so he hid behind a potted plant. And he heard, fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Oh, he was scared. What is he gonna do? He's in the house and this big giant man came. And the giant said, Mrs. Giant, I need my lunch. So she brought him his lunch. And the giant ate a big meal. And then he said, now please bring me my magic harp. Now the magic harp was kind of small. So she brought it and set it on the table, and it began to play music all by itself. And the giant went to sleep. Well, Jack thought, oh, you know what? We could have a lot of money if I got that magic harp. So he took it, and he ran down, and he went home, and he hid it in his room. And his mother came and said, Jack, what have you been doing all day? You need to get out there and hoe some of that garden up. Go get the eggs out of the hen house for me. There she does. She's got her hands on her hips. So the next day, Jack thought, ooh, I got the magic harp, and I could buy Mama a cow. I'm gonna go see what else this giant has. So he climbed up and up and up and up and up again, and he sneaked into the castle and hid behind that potted plant again. And he heard boom, 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 boom. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Well, Jack was shaking in his shoes. He was scared. He was hoping that giant didn't see him. Well, Mrs. Giant brought him his lunch again, and he ate, and he said, now, Mrs. Giant, would you please bring my magic goose? And she set the goose on the table. And about that time, that goose laid 2 golden eggs. Jack sat there and he said, oh, I could buy all kinds of stuff with those magic eggs. I could buy me an iPad. I could buy me an iPhone. I could buy Mama her cow that she wants. I could even buy her a crock pot so she can cook some good stuff, and maybe even some meat if I can find it at the store. Jack thought of all kinds of stuff he could buy. Now remember, with the magic harp, he was thinking about his mama, but by now he's thinking about himself. Well, that giant went to sleep. And Jack sneaked out, and he grabbed the eggs, and he grabbed the goose and ran down. But what he didn't know was the giant was pretending to be asleep. Uh-oh. And that giant saw Jack run down with that goose. Jack climbed down as fast as he could, but he could see that giant coming down too. And he ran around the house, and he ran to grab his axe because he was going to chop down that old vine so he could get rid of that giant that was coming. And all of a sudden his mother heard the commotion, and she ran around the corner and nearly collided with Jack and said, what are you doing with that axe? And about that time, that giant came down and said, fee, fi, fo, fum. What are you doing with my stuff? Jack's mother put her hands on her hips. What is going on here? And that giant said, ma'am, your little boy has come to my house, and he stole my magic harp, and then he stole my goose and her magic eggs. Mother looked at Jack and said, well, is that right? But before Jack could say, no, I didn't, because he was going to lie, before he could lie to his mother, all of a sudden she heard some beautiful music coming from his room. And then, here comes the goose. Hop, 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 walking up. Well, where did the music come from? Where did the goose come from? And Jack said, I did steal it. I'm sorry, Mama. I knew that we needed the money. And you didn't want to work for it? Well, I just figured this would be the easiest thing, and I climbed the stalk that those magic beans came from, and I saw it and I wanted it. I didn't think it would be no harm in taking it from somebody who was already rich. Jack, that is called stealing. It does not matter how poor we are and how rich they are, or it doesn't matter if we're rich and they're poor. You do not take what is not yours. Now, I'm going to have to punish you. From now on, you will climb that vine all the way up to Mr. and Mrs. Giant's house, and you will work every day for 3 hours a day for a full month. Well, Jack was upset, but he realized, his mother was right. So every day for a month, Jack climbed all the way up that beanstalk, and he worked for Mr. and Mrs. Giant. If they needed their garden hoed, he hoed it. If they needed their dishes washed, he washed their dishes for 3 hours every day for a month. When that month was over, the giant came to Jack and said, "Son, you have done such a very good job, and I'm proud of you for coming and working off what you did. Now, I still need somebody to work around the house. Would you be willing to take that job and I'll pay you?" And Jack thought, I can work and make the money, and then me and Mama can buy a cow. Yes, sir, I would love to work for you. So
telephone number. I need somebody to work in my yard.
every day, Jack went and worked for Mr. and Mrs. Giant. And every day, Mr. Giant gave him a golden egg. So not only was Jack able to buy his mother a cow, he bought her a goose and some more chickens, and they had a big garden, and they all lived happily ever after.
Woo!
Yay!
Miss Laura, that's what I call a Laura tale.
That is a Laura tale. Do you remember how it really was supposed to end?
Yeah, well, that's good. We like your
I
Laura
like
tale.
that.
We don't need to
I liked it. And I liked it.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Did you like it? You thought it was a good story too?
Yes.
How about your friend there? Max, did he like it?
I liked it.
You liked it too. We like you. We like you.
I
We're
know.
so glad you came today.
We are glad you came today. Do we need to sing our goodbye
I
song?
reckon we have to. We're gonna have to sing the goodbye. Listen, we felt so glad you came in. Will you come again?
Yes, I'll.
Okay, good.
Anytime.
Okay, let's go. Well, goodbye, goodbye. We're glad you came today. Goodbye, goodbye. We had such fun because you came to play. Can you throw a kiss? Woo!
Oh, we had so much fun. Bye.
Okay, I'll give an intro like I'm on the speaker thing. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at the beautiful downtown Tacoma, Mississippi Public Library, where Miss Laura has a guest this morning, along with old Miss Mattie, to furnish us some music and some hot air. And Miss Laura, would you please introduce your guest, honey?
Oh, Mason and Finn, how are y'all today?
Well, we're good. Yeah, we're really good.
Well, we're so glad you came today. Listen now, we always like to talk a little bit about our guests, find out a little bit about them. First of all, let's see, Finn, how old are you?
I'm 8.
8 years old, and I see you brought your friend here. And let's find out, how old are you?
I'm 10.
Is it good to be friends with a rabbit?
He can get in a little bit of trouble sometimes.
Is it good to be friends with a human boy?
He can get in trouble sometimes.
And how old were you now when y'all started working?
I was 8 or 7, and I was like 2 when we started working together.
Oh,
See, I think you do so well. This is called ventriloquism, and you have to learn when you're working with the public not to move your mouth. Right? And you do that so well. Do you practice it a lot?
I practice most of the time.
Do you? Well, see, I think that's wonderful. I just don't think I could ever talk without moving my mouth. I've always been able to do this one, all kind of things like that. Miss Laura's got, see, she makes her smile like that.
And I move my mouth a lot.
But to be able to talk without moving your mouth is just real, real good. Do you get in front of a mirror and practice?
Yes.
And you go to school. What school?
I go to my church school,
Okay, what's the name of it?
Pine Grove Pentecostal Church,
Very good.
and on over Caven Road, Summit, Mississippi, and we just have our own church school.
Very good. And I bet you love that. That's good. And you go to school and see what else you like to do besides going to school?
And to stay at home.
Stay at home. That's pretty good. What you like to do besides going to work?
Besides going to work, oh, I love to be outside and do campfires, go to the lake, have
And
my
sometimes-
grandkids over.
And sometimes you go with your husband, Mr. Steve, and y'all go fishing.
Right, and we ride back roads and
Just-
home into the forest. It's beautiful.
You see, Miss Laura lives way over in Indian Camp, over in the wilds of Indian Camp.
The wilderness.
In the
Yes.
wilderness, that's right.
Sometimes I call it in Africa, because it feels like it's so far away from everything. Well, do you have other puppets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you do ventriloquism with all of them, or do you do puppet shows? What all do you do?
Sometimes I'll do ventriloquism with all my puppets, and then I'll do some behind the curtain and stuff.
Well, we are just very impressed, and we think you're great to come and visit us this morning. So much fun to work with. Isn't it been a lot of fun? And we hope you have had a lot of fun too. Let's give Mason and Finn another hand. Even give it to them. Miss Laura, thank you so much. Miss Laura is so good about finding folks that have talent and inviting them to come and share them with you. So this was lots of fun. Okay, well, good luck on that carrot cake, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.